In the smoky corridors of the financial world during the 1970s, a strange hum began to echo. A hum not from human chatter, but from machines, wires, and the faint whir of an intelligence that seemed almost alive. At a time when the stock market was dominated by intuition, gut feelings, and hastily scribbled charts, a handful of visionaries dared to imagine a device capable of predicting its every twist and turn. It was an era of polyester suits, clunky computers the size of refrigerators, and endless reels of punched cards. And somewhere amidst all this chaos, a device emerged that promised to turn speculation into something bordering on prophecy. The story begins with a man whose obsession with numbers could only be described as legendary. His name, almost forgotten in the mainstream narrative, was Leonard P. A mathematician, engineer, and part-time dreamer, Leonard spent years wandering between the buzzing laboratories of MIT and the quiet, wood-paneled offices of Wall Street. To most, he was an eccentric. To a few, he was a prophet in waiting. Leonard believed that the stock market, seemingly chaotic and erratic, was in fact a complex system governed by patterns and cycles that could be deciphered with the right combination of mathematics and machinery. While others relied on news, rumors, and instinct, he relied on algorithms, timing circuits, and a relentless obsession with historical data. Leonard's creation was not small or subtle. Imagine a machine occupying a corner of a dimly lit office, panels of blinking lights, dozens of dials and wires snaking across every available surface. It looked more like a spaceship console than a financial tool. The device was designed to analyze hundreds of variables simultaneously: interest rates, commodity prices, political events, and more obscure factors that most traders would scoff at. It was equipped with punch card readers, analog calculators, and a series of mechanical relays that clicked and whirred as they processed thousands of calculations in the span of a second. Leonard often described it as a brain that never slept, a tireless sentinel scanning the tides of financial possibility. The early experiments were both thrilling and terrifying. When Leonard first tested the device against historical stock data, it seemed to predict fluctuations with uncanny accuracy. Small gains were easy to spot, but the machine also anticipated larger, more dramatic market shifts, moments that could make or break fortunes. Leonard, cautious and obsessive, knew that revealing such a device prematurely could provoke skepticism, or worse, chaos. The financial world was not yet ready for a machine that could outthink its most experienced human minds. The device, though purely mechanical and analog, relied on an approach that foreshadowed the modern era of algorithmic trading. Leonard designed intricate feedback loops, allowing the machine to learn from past errors. If a predicted market movement failed to materialize, the device would adjust its calculations, recalibrating for the next cycle. In a sense, it was one of the earliest forms of adaptive computing, long before the term artificial intelligence became part of everyday conversation. Investors who glimpsed the machine's output were often mesmerized, seeing predictions that seemed to emerge from a fog of randomness with eerie precision. However, the story was not simply one of technological marvel. The 1970s were turbulent years for the global economy. The oil crisis, inflationary pressures, and political scandals created a backdrop of uncertainty that made Leonard's device both incredibly valuable and extraordinarily dangerous. There were whispers in the corridors of finance, rumors of a machine that could make fortunes almost instantly. Some accused Leonard of witchcraft or deceit. Others, mostly rival traders, sought to acquire or sabotage his work. The hum of the device, steady and unyielding, became a symbol of possibility and peril. Leonard's own relationship with the device was complicated. He saw it as a tool, an extension of his mind, yet he was acutely aware of the ethical and practical implications of unleashing it upon the world. Every prediction, every calculation was a delicate balance between insight and risk. He documented his methods meticulously, filling journals with equations, diagrams, and carefully annotated charts. To the casual observer, it seemed like a madman's obsession, but to those who understood, it was the blueprint for a financial revolution. The device also had its quirks, almost as if it possessed a personality of its own. Operators spoke of its hum-changing pitch when the market conditions were particularly volatile, or the way certain dials seemed to hesitate before locking in a number. Leonard joked that the machine had moods, though he often confessed privately that he believed it sensed patterns in ways humans could not fully comprehend. For days, weeks, and months, the office was filled with the rhythmic clicking of relays, punctuated by the occasional burst of static from an overworked circuit. In that symphony of mechanical precision, Leonard found a kind of poetry, a dialogue between man and machine that transcended ordinary understanding of finance. Despite its brilliance, Leonard's device never achieved mainstream fame. Some historians suggest it was deliberately suppressed, a casualty of its potential to disrupt entrenched financial systems. Others argue that the machine, brilliant as it was, faced insurmountable limitations: mechanical wear, insufficient computational speed, and the chaotic unpredictability of human behavior. Markets, after all, were influenced not just by numbers but by emotions, rumors, and chance. Yet the stories of those who encountered the device persisted, whispered among traders and engineers like urban legends of an almost mythical invention that glimpsed the future. The legacy of Leonard's creation can be traced through the evolution of trading technology. Modern algorithmic trading, high-frequency systems, and AI-driven investment platforms owe a subtle debt to his work. What began as a clunky machine in a wood-paneled office laid the conceptual groundwork for a world where computers could analyze billions of variables in real time. In a sense, Leonard was ahead of his time, a prophet whose predictions were not just about numbers but about the possibilities of human ingenuity harnessed through machines. Yet there is a romantic element to this story that modern audiences often overlook. Imagine the quiet tension of a 1970s office at night, the dim glow of indicator lights, the smell of electrical components and old paper, and the soft, hypnotic clicking of a device calculating the tides of fortune. Leonard P. hunched over his console, surrounded by notebooks, formulas, and the comforting presence of his machine, was not just a trader or engineer. He was a pioneer, exploring a frontier where technology met intuition, where the chaos of human markets could be approached with rigor, imagination, and relentless curiosity. Over the years, as computers shrank, software advanced, and financial markets grew exponentially, Leonard's machine became a footnote in the annals of technology and finance. Few photographs remain, and even fewer documents exist outside of private collections. Yet, the story endures because it represents a universal fascination, the dream of understanding the future before it arrives, of finding order in chaos, and of bridging human creativity with the raw computational power of machines. In its humming circuits and meticulous calculations, Leonard's device captured a fundamental truth that continues to resonate today: the desire to peer into the currents of possibility, to anticipate the unpredictable, and perhaps to glimpse the patterns that lie beneath the surface of our chaotic world. Even now, decades later, the tale of the 1970s device that predicted stock markets inspires wonder. It reminds us that innovation often arises in quiet corners, in the minds of individuals willing to see the world differently. The device itself may be gone, its circuits melted, wires frayed, and relays silent, but its spirit lingers in every algorithm, every prediction, every line of code that attempts to bring foresight into a world defined by uncertainty. Leonard's story is a testament to curiosity, persistence, and the relentless human desire to understand what lies just beyond our reach. Perhaps the most intriguing aspect is the philosophical question it raises. Can the future ever be truly predicted? Or are such devices simply mirrors reflecting the patterns we already sense? Leonard seemed to believe in the possibility, and for a brief, electrifying moment, his machine validated that belief. It offered a glimpse of a world where the chaotic pulse of human activity could be read, interpreted, and even anticipated. And in that moment, the boundaries between man, machine, and market blurred, leaving behind a story that continues to captivate, challenge, and inspire those who dare to imagine the impossible.